हाँ, आ रहा है क्या लेके? अच्छा अच्छा, चलिए। हाँ हाँ हाँ।
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Before we start the meeting, one small request. Would request all of you to keep your mic on mute mode for now. So we'll be starting with my presentation first, and then in the end we'll keep a Q&A session. And during that time, you can unmute yourself and ask me whatever questions you have. Till that time, I'll request all of you to please keep your mics on mute so that there is no disturbance. At the outset, a very warm welcome to all of you, and thank you for joining today's call.
तो फिर कैसा है?
Aditya, can I request you to please keep your mic on mute?
Yeah, I have actually kept it on mute.
Yeah. So the agenda of today's meeting is to discuss the 56th GST Council meeting changes, which are going to impact the hotel and restaurant industry. Now the changes which are proposed are already notified, and whatever we are going to discuss today is going to be effective from 22nd of September 2025. That is coming Monday. So therefore, we thought that it is important to have this meeting. While at the looks of it, it appears that there are rate changes for only four services. That is, one, there is a rate change in accommodation service for rooms sold below 7,500 rupees. Then we have rate change in rent-a-cab service. Then salons, spas. So these are the four services majorly where there is a change in the rate of our output tax for this particular industry. But when you go into the detail and when you go into the nitty-gritties, you'll understand that this rate change is going to impact several other areas as well. Like for example, this is going to impact the time of supply provisions uh, because of the transition related issues. Then there is some impact on input tax credit also. So while there is only a change in rate of tax, but it is going to impact the time of supply and input tax provisions also. So we'll start with the changes in rates first, and then we'll go to the other issues which are impacting which are getting impacted because of this particular changes. First is the change in rate of tax. Now, accommodation service is one service which has seen four amendments in rates since the introduction. This is the fourth time in 8 years the rate for accommodation service is getting changed. When GST came in 1st July 2017, we had four rates for accommodation service: 0, 12, 18, and 28. For different rates at which the rooms were sold. So for less than 1,000 rupees, 0% was the GST rate. If the rooms were sold between 1,000 to 2,499, 12% was the rate. Between 2,500 to 7,499, 18% was the rate. And above 7,500 rupees, 28% was the rate. But the issue over here was that the basis for determination of GST rate was based on the declared tariff of the room sold. So irrespective at the value at which the room was sold, GST rate was to be determined based on the declared tariff of the room. Now this was really causing a problem for the industry because declared tariff as a concept was not used by most of the hotels during this period. The declared tariff is a concept which was brought in from luxury tax. So after a lot of representations and by the industry and trade, that declared tariff cannot be the basis to determine GST rate for accommodation service. You please shift it to transaction value. So in 2018, they made this amendment on 27th July 2018. They made this amendment to say that rates will remain the same, four rate slabs: 0, 12, 18, 28. But the basis to determine the GST rate would be the transaction value at which the room is sold and not the declared tariff. So this is one change which they did in 2018. Now, please note over here that this change was made on 27th of July. That is in the middle of, not at the start of a month, but around end of a particular month. Then in 2019, again, after a lot of representations by industry that, 28% is a very high GST rate for accommodation service. So 28% should not be there. So what they did was they reduced from 4 tax slabs to 3 tax slabs to say that now only 0, 12, and 18 will be the GST rates. So if your rooms are below 1000 rupees, 0%, between 1001 rupee to 7500, 12%, and above 7500 rupees, 18%. So they removed the 28% tax slab and brought it down to 0, 12, and 18. Now, ITC was available in all the cases except for where the rooms were sold at 0% till now. Then in 22, again in the middle of the month, 18th of July 22, they realized that this exemption is not required for rooms which are sold below 1000 rupees. So they deleted that particular exemption entry. And then effectively, there were only 2 GST rates for accommodation service. So if your rooms are sold up to 7500 rupees, you pay 12% GST and claim full credits on your input services. And if you are selling rooms above 7500 rupees, you pay 18% GST, and again you can claim full credits. So this is the current rate which we are at which we are discharging our liabilities as on date. Now these rates are prevalent only up to 21st of September. From 22nd of September, that is Monday, this particular change is coming in for the accommodation service. Now, because they have deleted that 12% rate, what they have done is they have shifted the rooms which are sold below 7500 rupees in 5% tax bracket. From 12, they have shifted to 5%. So this is good. They have reduced the effective GST rate for accommodation service from 12 to 5, and which is a big jump. 7% is a big jump. But there is one problem over here. They are saying that because you are now paying GST at the reduced rate of 5%, you will not be entitled to claim corresponding credits which you are availing for providing this accommodation services. So this is one big change which has come in this particular service. And for rooms which are sold above 7,500 rupees, the business remains as usual. Earlier also we were paying 18% and claiming full credits. Going forward also you can claim full credit and discharge GST at the rate of 18%. Now, what is the impact because of this change of 5% no ITC? That we'll discuss in subsequent slides. But this is one major change which is coming in this particular accommodation service. Now, when we go to rent-a-cab service, we all know that for rent-a-cab service, we always had 2 options. One option was to pay 5% GST on our output service and claim ITC only on back-to-back transactions, of the similar transactions. So like if you are taking car on rent from a rental company and then giving it to your guest, so that back-to-back ITC was available. Apart from that, no other ITC was available for rent-a-cab service. This was one option. And the other option was that if you want to claim full credits, then you charge 12% on your output service. This was the second option. Now again, because they are deleting this 12% rate entry, they are saying that 12% will be shifted to 18%. So over here, they are increasing GST rate by 6%, but ITC will be available. So this is one change with regards to rent-a-cab service. Next is beauty and physical well-being. So this includes all your spas, gyms, and salons, gyms, and spas, which you are operating within your hotel premises. Earlier, GST rate on this particular services were 18% with full input tax credit. Now it is changed to 5% without input tax credit. So again over here, there are drastic reduction in rate. 13% GST rate has been reduced. But the catch over here is that you will not be entitled to claim any input tax credit which you have procured for the input services and capital goods which you have procured for providing this particular services. So these are the changes with regards to the rates for accommodation service, rent-a-cab service, salon service, spa service, and gym services. Okay. Now, what is the impact of this particular rate changes? I will try to understand those. The first impact is on the advances which you have collected. There might be situations whereby you have already collected advance from your customers before 22nd of September only. Advances you have already collected for the rooms which are sold below 7,500 rupees. Advance you have already collected. You have also collected 12% GST on that advance money. But those customers would be staying at your hotel after 22nd of September 2019, 2015, 2025. Now, in those cases, invoicing will also happen later on only at the time of checkout. He's staying also after this change in rate, and invoicing will also happen later on. Which GST rate will apply? Because service is provided afterwards, after the change in rate. Invoicing is done after the change in rate. Only advance money is collected before the change in rate. Advance along with GST is already collected. Which rate you will apply? Now, there is one section 14 which specifically deals with this kind of situations. It says that you have to look at 2 by 3 scenario. 2 by 3 scenario meaning 3 scenarios you need to check. Payment date, when did you provide the service, date of service, and date of invoice. These 3 dates, date of payment, date of service, date of invoice. These 3 dates you need to check. If 2 out of these 3 dates are falling before change in rate of tax, then the old rate of tax will apply. But if 2 out of these 3, Aman, I think someone is doing annotation on screen. Can you please stop that? But if 2 out of these 3 rates are falling after the change in rate of tax, then new rate will apply. Now, in this particular example which we are discussing, only the amount is received before the change in rate of tax. The date of service, because your guest is going to stay after the change in rate, the date of service falls after the change in rate of tax. Also, because you will be raising invoice at the time of checkout, again that will be after the change in rate. So 2 out of 3 dates are falling after the change in rate of tax. Therefore, new rate, which is 5% without ITC, will be applicable for rooms which are already sold in advance below 7,500 rupees. Now, what will be the fallback of this particular change? Just a minute. First is that though you have already collected 12% on this advanced amounts, when you are raising invoice to your customer at the time of checkout, you will have to charge new GST rate of 5% only for all the rooms which are sold below 7,500 rupees. The second point is that what about the differential 7% which you have already collected? Because 12% is going down to 5%. So therefore, you will have to reduce. Just a minute. Someone is doing annotation on screen, which is disturbing me. Just a minute. Okay, yeah. Yeah. So whatever this extra 7% has been collected, that 7% GST amount you will have to refund to your guest. And at the time of refunding this 7%, you will have to raise a refund voucher to your guests. So again, I'll repeat, whatever this 12% GST you have collected on the advance room booking already, for the guests who are going to stay after 22nd of September, you will have to raise invoice with the new rate only, new rate of 5% for all the rooms which are sold below 7,500 rupees. Excess of 7% GST which you have already collected, that you'll have to refund to your guest, because the applicable GST rate is 5% only and not 12. And at the time of refunding that 7% GST amount, you'll have to raise a refund voucher to your customer. Now, this was a plain vanilla example whereby your booking, advance booking is done before 22nd September and guest is going to come after 22nd September. This is a plain vanilla example. There might also be situations whereby your guest has either already checked in or is going to check in tomorrow, or maybe on Sunday, and he's going to check out after 22nd of September. So you understand this? There is a overlapping. Check-in has happened before the change in rate, and checkout is going to happen after the change in rate. So all these discussions which we are doing are for the rooms sold below 7,500 rupees only, and not above 7,500 rupees. Because above 7,500 rupees is already in 18%. There are no changes as such. Only below 7,500 rupees there are changes. So therefore our discussion is restricted only to the rooms which are sold below 7,500 rupees. So the check-in of guest has happened before 22nd of September and is going to check out after 22nd September. What will you do in that kind of situations? So you have two options with you. First option is that you generate invoice. So on our invoice, what we usually see is that day-wise rates are mentioned on the invoice. Day-wise rates and day-wise GSTs are mentioned on the invoice which we generate at the time of checkout of the guest. So on those day-wise rates and day-wise GST, for the tariff up to 21st of September, you charge 12%, and and on onwards 22nd of September, you charge 5%. So on same invoice, you mention two different rates for different days. Before 22nd September, you mention 12% GST, and after 22nd September, you mention 5% GST. This is one option you have. On one single invoice, you mention two different GST rates for different dates, before and after. The second option is, if it is not possible to mention two separate rates on your invoice because of any challenges related to software, if it is not possible to do that, all your guests who are staying in this room sold below 7,500 rupees, you check all your guests, you check them out on 21st of September. Check them out meaning not physically, only in your invoice system. In your invoicing system, you check them out on 21st of night and recheck in all of those guests again on 22nd. So that what will happen is that once you check them out on 21st, the 12% GST will be plotted on the invoices, and when you recheck them in on 22nd, the new rate of 5% will become applicable. So these are the two options which are available with you. Whatever is feasible to you and your systems allow you, you please adopt that particular option. So this is with respect to the rooms which are booked in advance, or in cases where guests are staying, have checked in prior to 22nd September and are going to check out after 22nd September. So these are the implications. Next, we'll be discussing the impact of this particular changes on input tax credit. Now, you all know that we have been doing Rule 42 calculations for hotels and restaurant industry. For standalone restaurants, Rule 42 does not work because if it's a standalone restaurant, then they are already in 5% and they are not entitled to claim any ITC. Rule 42-43 applies in case of hotels who are selling rooms above or below 7,500 rupees. Now, when we'll be discussing this numerical example, I have made two assumptions over here. First assumption is that in your hotel, you are selling some rooms above 7,500 rupees. And I think this is a very commonplace example because in all the hotels, you will be having, some rooms or some category of room which is sold at least once above 7,500 rupees in a year. Okay. So in that case, the applicable GST rate for your restaurant service will be 18% with input tax credit. This is the first assumption which I have made in this particular calculation. And the second assumption which I have made is that you are also selling liquor in your restaurants. I think this is also a very commonplace scenario in all the hotels. Now, basis this two particular assumptions, let us try to understand that how we are doing Rule 42 and 43 calculations till date, up to this particular change, how we are doing these calculations, and same numbers will also try to plot after the change and try to see what is the impact that is coming. So coming to the left side of the table, which is the turnover table. Now over here, if you will see that accommodation turnover above 7,500, below 7,500, both are classified as taxable because we are paying either 12% or 18% and ITC is fully available. Next is restaurant is again classified as taxable because once you say that your restaurant is under 18%, ITC is available to you. So therefore, restaurant turnover is also classified as taxable. Other services, whatever services you are providing in your hotel, like banqueting service, outdoor catering service, salon, spa, etc., they are also taxable because you are paying 18% GST on them, and therefore they are also classified as taxable turnover. The only challenge and why we used to do Rule 40 to 43 reversal in hotels primarily was because of alcohol sale. Alcohol being outside of GST, VAT is being paid on alcohol. Therefore, it is treated as a non-GST supply, and non-GST supply is a exempt supply. And this provision says that if you are making any exempt supplies, then you have to reverse your input tax credit proportionately. So, alcohol turnover was the turnover which was classified as exempt turnover. Okay. So, out of this total turnover of 1,100 rupees, 100 rupees was, I've kept numbers simple so that it's easy to understand for everyone. 100 rupees of turnover, which is alcohol sale turnover, is treated as exempt. Balance 1,000 rupees is treated as taxable. Coming to the right side of the table, right side table, input tax credit. Whatever credits, whatever inputs or input services which we were procuring and which were directly related to rooms, including consumable items like linen or toiletries or whatever repair works which we used to do in relation to the rooms, those input tax credits were classified as taxable because we were paying 12 or 18% on accommodation service, and corresponding credit was available, so it was classified as taxable. For restaurant again, for the food component, because we were paying GST at the rate of 18, we are paying GST at the rate of 18%. Restaurant F&B food component is also classified as taxable. Balance inputs and input services related to restaurants were treated as common because it was very difficult to classify as to which component is going towards food and which component is going towards alcohol. It becomes difficult to classify and identify them, and therefore all other expenses input tax credit was treated as common pertaining to the restaurant service. Next, whatever input tax credit we used to claim for providing banquet or other services on which we were paying 18% GST, those input tax credit were also classified as taxable. Similarly, gym spa related expenses were also classified as taxable. And there would always be, some component like, for example, security or housekeeping or maybe pest control. It might be difficult to identify as to how much component has gone towards restaurant side of it and how much component has gone towards rooms or other area side of it. Restaurant, why I'm saying, because in restaurants, there is a alcohol sale, and therefore we have to consider that. It was difficult to identify, this particular breakup, and therefore we used to treat those input tax credits as also common. Now coming to the formula. The formula is exempt turnover divided by total turnover multiplied by common input tax credit. So now on the left side of the table, if you see, the exempt turnover which we have is 100 rupees. Okay, so my numerator becomes 100 rupees. My denominator is total turnover, which is 1100 rupees, multiplied by common input tax credit. Now common input tax credit in this case, in right side of the table, if you see, we have two places where common credit is there. One is restaurant others, including beverages, which is 15 rupees, and unidentifiable, which is 30 rupees. So total of them becomes 45. So 100 divided by 100 and 1100 into 45 comes to 4 rupees. So 4 rupees is the input tax credit which was required to be reversed out of this total input tax credit of 115 rupees. Okay, so net ITC which was creditable to you out of this 115 rupees is only 111 rupees. So this is the situation scenario which is happening as on date. Now let us try to, with the same numbers, let us try to understand how things will change from Monday onwards. Look at the three places where I have highlighted items in red font. So earlier, accommodation turnover for rooms which were sold up to 7,500 rupees, earlier it was treated as taxable. Now it will be treated as exempt because you will be discharging 5% ITC, 5% GST without input tax credit. Therefore, that turnover will have to be classified as exempt turnover. And when you look at the input tax credit side of it, whatever expenses you are incurring, which are directly in relation to rooms, which may be for linen, consumables, repairs, etc. All that input tax credit will now be going forward be classified as common input tax credit, because you don't know that which items are going to be used for rooms above 7,500 rupees and below 7,500 rupees. It is not practically and humanly possible to identify that. Therefore, this particular ITC will be classified as common input tax credit. And the third change which will happen is that whatever, because gyms, spas, and salons are also in 5% bracket now without ITC, whatever expenses or whatever input tax credit is in relation to gyms, spas, salons, that ITC will be treated as completely ineligible. So let us have a look at it. What is the final number which we are getting of Rule 42 reversal? Exempt turnover will be now 200 rupees of accommodation up to 7,500 rupees plus 100 rupees of alcohol sale. So 300 rupees. My numerator will be 300 rupees. Denominator will be my total turnover of 1100 rupees. And common ITC now will be 40 rupees of my ITC, which is directly in relation to rooms. 15 rupees restaurants, which is except for food. So 40 plus 15, 55. 55 and unidentifiable or whatever is the common credit, 30. So 55 plus 30 comes to 85 rupees. So my Rule 42 reversal will be 300 divided by 1100 multiplied by 85, which comes to 23 rupees. Now over and above this 23 rupees, the 5 rupees of ITC, which is directly in relation to spa, gyms, and salons, also will have to be reduced. So out of this 115 rupees of ITC, you'll have to reduce 23 rupees of common ITC reversal and 5 rupees of whatever was towards the ineligible ITC. So this is how situation is going to change going forward. Earlier, same numbers, same situation. Out of 115, creditable ITC was 111 rupees. Going forward, this 115 rupees will come down to 87 rupees. So this is the impact which we are looking at going forward for Rule 42, 43 reversals. Now this was the monthly working. Let us try to have a look at how things will change on a whole financial year basis. Okay. So right now this working, the workings which you can see on the screen, this is the calculation, Rule 42 calculation. 48 rupees reversal comes if we do working as per the old rates and old classifications. Going forward, when our accommodation service is also classified under exempt and our various ITCs will be classified either as common or as ineligible, this 48 rupees of Rule 42 reversal becomes 188 rupees. And so this is just an example to show you as to what is the impact of this additional ITC reversal because of change in rate in the accommodation service. So this is one big impact which all the hotels are going to face with regards to the input tax credit for Rule 42 and 43 calculations. Now, apart from this, there are also several other impacts, transition impacts. The first one is the consumables for rooms. Now you will be having linens, toiletries, all these consumable items in your stock in hand as on 21st of September 2025. Now all these items you have purchased before 21st of September. Therefore, you have already booked the invoice. You have claimed the input tax credit, and it is lying in your stock in hand. Now these items going forward might either be used in your rooms above 7,500 rupees or in your rooms below 7,500 rupees. You don't know. So there is a provision, section 18(4). It says that whenever the service which is supplied by you is moving from taxable to exempt, then whatever input tax credit of inputs is lying in stock, that much input tax credit needs to be reversed. This is the section 18(4) provision. So ideally this should shift from taxable to exempt. But in our case, we don't know because accommodation, some portion is taxable, full ITC, above 7,500 rupees is full ITC, and below 7,500 rupees is exempt. So we don't know where these consumables will be used. So as on 21st of September, whatever consumables you have stock in hand, that will have to be reclassified from taxable ITC to common input tax credit. So this is one transition change in input tax credit. The second transition change would be that some consumable items you would have already purchased, invoices would have been accounted in your books of accounts, you would have taken those goods in your stock in hand. But ITC you would have not claimed as of date because of mismatch of transaction with your GST R2B, or the transaction is not reflecting in your GST R2B. So you have not claimed ITC as on date. You are going to claim ITC in subsequent month whenever the transaction gets matched. Now, whenever you claim that credit upon matching, those ITC again would be classified as common and it will not be classified as taxable. So this is again one transition change for the consumable items which you are procuring, buying for your rooms. And for standalone restaurants or the restaurants in hotels which are in 5% rate bracket. So all the restaurants which are in 5% rate bracket, you must already be aware that GST rates for many food items have been reduced. Like chocolate is reduced from 18 to 5. Various other food items are reduced from 12 to 5. Some have even gone down to 0. So there is reduction in GST rate for many food products. So if you are a standalone restaurant discharging GST at the rate of 5%, you will have to pass on this benefit of whatever GST rates is reduced on your purchase side. You will have to work upon those benefits which you will be getting, and you'll have to pass on this price benefit to your customer. This will not be applicable for 18% restaurants because you are always entitled to claim that input tax credit, and then you are charging 18%. So even if those rates of that input tax rate is reduced from 18 to 5, doesn't matter, because anyways you are allowed to claim ITC before. So for you this might not impact for restaurants which are in 18%, but the restaurants which are in 5%, you will have to pass on this benefit of rate reductions of GST rate reduction of purchase to your customers. So this was with regards to input tax credit. The next change, so this change is not coming from 22nd September. This change will be notified at a future date. So we have tie-ups. Many hotels have, all the hotels have tie-ups with various online travel agents. So some travel agents who are based in India, they charge GST on their commission on the invoice, of which credit we have been claiming on regular basis. But there are also some OTAs who are based outside India. They do not have any branch office in India. They are based outside India. And we pay commission to them for bookings happening through their portals. Now, for those foreign OTAs, we were not discharging GST under reverse charge as of date, because there is a provision, section 13(8)(b) of IGST Act, which says that in case of intermediary services, the place of supply shall be location of the intermediary. So in this case, the OTA being located outside India, the place of supply falls outside India, and therefore we are not paying GST under RCM on this OTAs as on date. But this particular provision is proposed to be deleted. It is not notified yet. It will be notified at a future date. So whenever this change is getting notified, you will be required to pay GST under RCM even for the commissions which you are paying to the foreign online travel agents. So this is going to be one more change with regards to the GST. And coming to the ITC side of this GST, which you will be paying under reverse charge. Will you classify this ITC under common, or you will classify under taxable or identified credits? We would advise you to classify this ITC under common, because practically it will be very difficult for you to identify as to which rooms are sold by your OTA above 7,500 rupees and which rooms are sold below 7,500 rupees. Manually doing this, it's a very tedious task, and there are chances of errors. So rather than going on identification basis, we would advise you to, on a conservative basis, we will advise you to treat this as common input tax credit and do Rule 42 reversals. This will apply only in cases of rooms which are sold below 7,500 rupees. Some other points to note. This is the last slide, and then we'll take question and answers. You are already aware that we have taken this position that supply of minibar, whatever food items or whatever beverages are being sold from minibar, they are to be treated as supply of goods and not supply of service. Because when you look at the minibar facility or supplies which are being made from minibar, there is no service per se. The guest, whenever if they feel like consuming something, they pick up the product which is kept over there and they consume it. There is no service per se involved in that. Therefore, we have taken a position that whatever supplies are being made from minibar, those supplies are to be treated as supply of goods. Now, please note over here that in minibar, usually we keep aerated beverages, carbonated beverages, right? So GST rate for aerated and carbonated and various other caffeinated beverages is also changing from 28% plus 12% of cess to 40% of GST. So this rate change also you'll have to adopt. Please follow whatever GST rate your supplier is charging you. You please follow that particular GST rate. And also with regards to the cess, the cess ITC which you have already accumulated till date, that cess will not be able to adjust because going forward from 22nd September, there is no cess on aerated or carbonated beverages. And therefore, whatever ITC of cess is being accumulated, that will also have to be reversed. So this is one change. Secondly, there is no change with regards to how do you identify rate for your plan room sales. Plan room sales meaning room sold along with food. So say the price of only room is 5,000 rupees, but along with meals it comes to 6,000 rupees. So you'll have to treat this as a single price of 6,000 rupees, and accordingly you will discharge 5% GST on this 6,000 rupees of room sold going forward. You cannot break down this planned room sales into room cost and food cost and divide the GST rates. Whatever is the combined price which you are charging for the planned room sales, whatever is the final price, on that price GST rate will have to be identified accordingly. In a recent FAQ which is issued by CBIC, 2 points they have clarified. First is that this GST rate of 5% on rooms sold below 7,500 rupees, uh, discharging GST at the rate of 5% is mandatory and not optional. So one cannot say that, I don't want to pay at 5% without ITC, I want to charge 18 only. No, that is not an option. For all the rooms sold below 7,500 rupees, the applicable GST rate will be 5% only. And also they have clarified in the same FAQ, they have clarified that if you are selling rooms above below 7,500 rupees, then corresponding ITC will not be available to you. So these are the changes which are proposed and now notified also by the government. And these changes are going to be effective from 22nd of September, that is Monday. So please gear up your systems, inform your front desk people, inform your accounts and finance team people about these changes so that there is a smooth transition on 22nd of September. So this was from my side. If someone has any questions, we can take up those questions. Please unmute yourself and ask your question.
यस सर, तनुज फ्रॉम
Yes,
कानपुर।
yes, Tanuj.
सर दो क्वेश्चन था।
हाँ,
फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन ये है कि मेरा जो 7,500 के नीचे रूम सेल होता है उसमें एपी प्लान, एमएपी प्लान और सीपी प्लान और ईपी प्लान होता है। एपी प्लान में फूड भी इंक्लूसिव है, तो जो मेरा फूड कोस्ट का आईटीसी है उसको मेरे को टैक्सेबल ही पकड़ना है या फिर कॉमन में पकड़ना है?
no, so that is always treated as a part of your room sale,
यस।
right? That is not treated as restaurant sale. Okay, so you will be on the entire component, including the meal cost. On the entire component, you will be discharging 5% GST.
यस।
Correct. So corresponding food ITC will have to be reversed.
ओके। एंड सेकेंड क्वेश्चन कि 21st को गेस्ट चेक इन हो गया एंड 22 को गेस्ट मेरा चेकआउट हो रहा है, तो उसके लिए मेरे को सिंगल टैक्स इनवॉइस रेज करना है 22 को,
Correct.
और उसमें मैं
5%. 5%.
बाइफ्रिक 5% में, और जो
हाँ.
21st को उसको मैंने जो सर्विस दी है उस पे उसी इनवॉइस में मैं बाइफ्रिकेट कर सकता हूँ उसकी 18% या 12% की जो भी सर्विसेज है वो?
नहीं सर, रूम अगर 21st को चेक इन होता है और 22nd को चेकआउट होता है,
या
तो there is only one service for one day, and that service ends on 22nd.
ओके।
On which date your service completes on 22nd, on
हाँ।
which new rate is already applicable.
ओके।
So you'll have to charge him 5%.
और सर 21st से पहले
आधा
हुआ
आधा
है?
दिन. So this 12 and 5 will happen in a situation मान लो आपका गेस्ट चेक इन होता है 20th को
यस
और चेकआउट होता है 22nd को, तो
यस
20 to 21 का जो है उसमें यू हैव टू पे 12%, और 21 to 22 जो है उसमें यू हैव टू पे 5%।
मेरा पूछने का मतलब ये है कि डेट ऑफ इनवॉइस और टैक्स इनवॉइस नंबर सिंगल ही रहेगा दोनों का, 5% और 12% का।
सो वही मैंने बोला ना, सी यू कैन, इट्स एट योर ऑप्शन। अगर आपका सिस्टम परमिट करता है टू हैव जीएसटी ऑन अकोमोडेशन सर्विस फॉर टू डिफरेंट रेट्स, 5 and 12, तो
हाँ
यू कैन ऑन सेम इनवॉइस यू कैन हैव टू रेट्स फॉर
रेंज
टू
कर।
रेट्स, कर
यस यस
सकते हो। बट इफ योर सिस्टम डज नॉट परमिट, क्योंकि आप सिस्टम में लॉजिक चेंज करोगे ना, गोइंग
यस
फॉरवर्ड यू विल चेंज द लॉजिक टू से दैट बिलो 7,500 rupees शुड बी 5% ओनली एंड नॉट 12।
ओके
So will your system be able to plot 12 and 5 both for below 7,500 rupees on same invoice?
यस
Check that. If your system is able to do that, you can very well charge both 12 and 5 on same invoice. But if your system is not able to do that, then you check out all your guests on 21st so that आपका 12% वाला bill सब generate हो जाए. Recheck them in on 22nd and start charging 5% GST.
ओके ओके सर, थैंक यू सर।
Okay. Any other questions?
Yash bhai, there is a question in the chat box.
Whether ITC reversal on F&B goods, if common, should on opening as on or only for purchase made in or after? See, first paragraph, frankly, I have not understood. Sachin, if you are there, can you unmute yourself and ask your question so that I can answer it appropriately? Second, with regards to this spa and wellness related credits which you have already availed, so the answer will remain same as we discussed to our consumables for rooms. There we are saying that whatever is there in stock in hand of the products is already stock in hand, which you are going to use after 22nd. So because of that section 18.4, you'll have to reverse those credits of the consumable items which you are purchased before with input tax credit, but now you are using them for services on which 5% GST is charged without ITC. So you'll have to reverse that particular ITC because of section 18.4. The first para question I have not understood. If you are there, you can unmute yourself and you can ask me this question. Apart from this, if someone has any other question,
Mr. Yash, I have one question here.
yeah, yeah.
See, under Rule
What is your
42,
name? What is your name, sir?
myself, Guru from Planet Hollywood. Goa.
Okay, okay. Yes, sir. Tell me.
Yeah, my question is this under Rule 42, the table which you provided to calculate the exempted turnover. Okay, you have given only the liquor and the less than 7,500 turnover. So here my question is already the spa and tours and travels
That
also come.
that that should also go in exempt, sir.
Yes.
To for the purpose of simplicity, and I didn't want to confuse everyone on the who are
Okay,
attending this. Just for
but
the
we have
simplicity purpose, so that will also be going under exempt.
that will also will come under exempted.
Correct.
And
That I
yes,
particularly did not, keep in my example also, because in most of the cases also what happens is that spa service has been, given to some third party operator to operate, and they do invoicing in their GSTN and all. So there are also those kind of situations at various hotels. So for the sake of simplicity, I did not take them in my calculation. But yes, your question is valid. That will also be treated as an exempt turnover.
fine. And one more question. This combined service just now he asked, but I wouldn't able to hear clearly. So again, I'm asking. I want to clarify this. And regarding this combined services, the breakup that
Which
room.
service?
I mean, combined service. We used to say no, the room package room
Plan
sale.
sale. Ha.
Yeah, yes, plan sales.
Ha,
So
yeah.
under plan sales, again the 7,500 is inclusive of tours and travels and food. So that food also comes under 5%. So that food portion also we need to track separately under exempted sales.
Yes,
Correct, no?
yes.
ठीक है.
Proportionate
Thank you.
reversal will come on the food part also. Only if your restaurant is under 18% and
Yeah,
whatever sale of food and beverages you are doing in restaurant and
yeah,
you are charging 18% GST under restaurant, that much you will be allowed to claim fully.
yeah.
But whatever is being used along with your room as a part of plan room sales, on which you are charging 5% GST on room service, that proportionate reversal will come.
Fine. Thanks. Can you clarify one more thing also? Gym revenue comes under 5% or
5%. 5%.
5%? Gym also 5%.
If you are charging separately to your guest, most of the hotels they provide as a complimentary service.
Yeah.
But if you are charging separately to your guest, then 5% and no ITC.
ठीक. Thanks.
Any other question?
हेलो सर।
हाँ हाँ मैडम।
सर ये बिफोर 21st इनवॉइस जो रहेंगे, अगर उसका कुछ अलाउंस पास करना है, कुछ रॉन्ग रेट हुआ है या कुछ, तो वो हम पास कर
ओल्ड
पाएंगे?
रेट के, हाँ वो ओल्ड
जी
रेट
जी,
के हिसाब से
ओल्ड
आपने
रेट।
वो जो रेट लगाया होगा वही रेट पे आपको रिवर्सल होएगा।
वो अलाउ होगा सिस्टम में, मतलब
कौन से सिस्टम में?
जैसे मतलब क्रेडिट नोट पास करेंगे तो मतलब।
हाँ, your system should be able to, मतलब that you'll have to check with your billing system. But reversal, if you see, if you had collected 12% GST, now if you are reversing, you'll have to reverse 12% only. You cannot reverse 5%.
यस यस राइट। ओके। एंड अगर कोई, हाँ जैसे अभी दूसरा चीज है कि जो परचेस में इनवॉइसेस है, कि कोई अगर बैकडेट का इनवॉइस दे रहा है पुराना, तो हम मतलब पोस्ट कर पाएंगे सिस्टम में जो ओल्ड रेट से रहेंगे?
मैडम ये तो आपका आउटपुट में जो सर्विस है उसमें रेट चेंज हो रहा है ना। आप परचेज मतलब फूड प्रोडक्ट्स और उसमें जो चेंज हुआ है उसकी बात कर रहे हो?
हाँ हाँ हाँ।
हाँ वो तो आप कर ही सकते हो ना। सी इनवॉइस इज डेटेड प्रायर टू 22nd। मोस्ट ऑफ द केसेस में इन अकाउंटिंग और वो सबका बाद में ही होने वाला है। सो वॉट एवर इज चार्ज ऑन द इनवॉइस दैट यू कैन क्लेम इन योर ITC रजिस्टर।
ओके ओके सर, थैंक यू।
यस, एनी अदर क्वेश्चन?
Hello.
यस सर।
Yeah. Wanted to ask with respect to membership fees, if any the hotel collects. So what will be the impact of
Membership for what? Club
membership, club memberships?
That is under 18%, sir.
That is under 18%.
Only gym has been, wellness center has come down to 5. There is no change in club membership rate.
Okay.
That will continue to be 18. If you are giving only membership of gym, then 5%. But if you are giving membership of the entire club, all the facilities put together, then it will be 18%.
Okay.
Any other questions? Fine, I think then if we don't have any questions, we'll close the session. Thank you so much everyone for your patient hearing, and all the best to all of you. Thank you. If there's any further question, or if you have any doubts, please feel to reach out to me, Kalpit, Riddhi or Rushmi. All of us are available for you. If you have any doubts, please do not hesitate in calling us. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you so much.